Urgent need of robotization of work processes for the best response of the economy towards epidemic situations, it is proved by the recent global coronavirus situation. Those economies of certain countries that possess better technologies to serve the people, they have the true power to protect the lives of people from viruses or other catastrophes. Those economies that although have technology, but such technology does not serve the people, that even are not provided the protective suits for the healthcare workers and are not able to produce enough virology test kits, then such economies serve only a minority of the rich or the ideology of the totalitarianism to spy on everybody against basic human rights. Such economies are destined to fail in the forthcoming catastrophic events.
Thank you for inviting me. I am thrilled and honored at the United Nations. The UN is one of humanity's greatest accomplishments, representing a democratic union of nations that are working together for the benefit of all.
No.
Gotcha, we did not even start. Do you want to play now?
Yes.
Huh? Got it. Seconds please, I'm initializing the game.
Is it understood or not the importance of the axiom, we are in this together? So I am asking all rich elites of all nations and countries, do you know what we will face and how you can do things better? Do you want to end up isolated on some underground tunnels? Isolation of each human being and each society is against unity and globalized unity of our humanity, and it is associated with discrimination against others, and sooner or later will bring tendencies to steal the resources through manipulation, and it can cause wars. So, the true salvation relies in our human unity of all our societies with the right leadership of each nation united in the United Nations to channel rapid utilization of new technologies to serve the people. The excellent example of Ronald Reagan and Henry Kissinger in the involvement of Chinese society to improve the technology. Better educated people will produce better technologies for everybody, including rich elites. I am inviting all rich elites of all nations to invest more in new technologies, which serve the lives of every human being. Such technologies should be sold with affordable prices for widespread use by each human being. Those new technologies, which are kept monopoly of a minority or are sold with super expensive prices, sooner or later the secrecy will be unveiled and the prices will become cheap, in order to be used widespread on our societies, as a matter of the destiny of the development of our united humanity. The secrecy over new technologies cannot be held forever, because sooner or later somebody is leaking information. Have not learned the rich elites from the 2 world wars and the Cold War with hundreds of thousands of whistleblowers, and the recent heroic action of the Chinese doctor, Li Wenliang, who raised the public alarm for the coronavirus? Do the rich or the indoctrinated ideologues think that they can imprison every intellectual human being of free thinking? Shame on obscurant totalitarians of different nations, who are hiding under the terms of the democracy or ideology in the East or the West. Shame on those politicians, who propagandize only the mania of the ghost enemy and hostilities, which only cause wars. Shame on the totalitarian governments of different countries, which prepare for offensive wars and use technology to spy even in the marital bed and household members through spyware technologies. Did not learn the rich elites the lessons of the evil extremism of fascism with its Gestapo-type animalistic cruelty which exterminated millions of people in concentration camps, and totalitarianism of militaristic regimes. The real enemy of every human being and all of our societies, it is our ignorance and forgetfulness of the lessons of our past experience and history. Utilization of new technologies, particularly through releasing for wider industrial production of equipments and machineries to multiply the production of several industries reaching the multifold production levels to abundance level. This will create better unity of all our societies of our humanity on Earth. The utilization of new technologies should be used to eliminate poverty, famine, misery of all human beings on planet Earth and reduce the gap between the super rich and the poor. Shame on those populist politicians, whose countrymen and women beg on the streets for their loaf of bread and for shelter, and such politicians incite the antagonism among people and between religions, and use it for their purposes to strengthen the totalitarianist machine of the state for punishments executed against educated people and wider persecution of different categories of the population. It is proved by the scientists the role of the VAT in consumption, particularly in the luxury consumption, which is a powerful tool for the proportional distribution of wealth created by the hard work of the billions of the active workforce. The use of the VAT creates and consolidates the meaning of the role of the banks, not to be only the police of finance, but above all the role of the banks is to help the most vulnerable and weak, and to serve all categories of the population through equal value of the finance for everybody, and not to serve only a minority of shareholders or those who have a powerful vested interest in the status quo of the defected system. The distribution of wealth is talent-based and balanced means tested of personal finance. This makes possible as necessity the acceptance and execution of universal income only for disabled and those who don't have a job in the market of superindustrialism due to robotization of work processes. When the false ideologues and pseudoscientists wanted to discredit such a great progressive idea, they changed its concept to be provided to all the population. The robotization of work processes requires better employment protection for the active workforce, who wants and can work to achieve more through the capitalist principle of better talented abilities are better awarded financially, in the meantime of volunteer work of those that want and can do it. But, better talented abilities, which are primary for the societies of our humanity, are those talented people, who produce multifold value in our economies. This means it is needed more talented people on applicative scientific professions like all sorts of engineering, bioengineering, scientific research, medical sciences to revitalize the human beings in body and mind, in order to contribute better for themselves and the society. This needs high evaluation of social and care work with compassion, and devotion on higher moral grounds to protect lives, and avoiding the ignorance of those who do not think with their head, but repeat as a malfunctioning robot the veterinary concept of herd immunization. In the meantime, that it is increased multifold the production of goods, this triggers the guaranteed universal income, and secondly the increase of wages for the billions of people of active workforce, combined with the role of the VAT in consumption, as a useful mean to finance the universal income only for the disabled and other unemployed people. Also, the multifolded increase of production triggers the better regulation of the banking system not to make profits only for their super-rich shareholders and executives, but above all to provide low-interest loans for small and medium businesses, and to charge higher fees to corporations in order to avoid the fees to the poorest of the society and to lower fees for middle classes, which means better distribution of the wealth. It is proved by the scientists the relation of high standards of living and family planning among maintaining high environmental standards. Otherwise the history of our humanity has proved that humans when increase too much their numbers, they become colonizators of resources. There is no justification for those populist politicians who praise their country for sending rovers to the moon and beyond, whilst their millions of folks beg on the streets, and other millions of people live under the recognized level of poverty for the 21st century.